Hello, everyone. Great to have you here today. My name is Elijah Odundo, and I want to share with you a testimony, something that is very, very close to my heart. But before we jump into the testimony, allow me to read a scripture, and this is in Luke chapter 17. And this is a story I'm sure very many of us are familiar with, where Jesus heals 10 men with leprosy. Verse 11 says, "Now on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee." Verse 12 says, "As he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance and called out in a loud voice, 'Jesus, Master, have pity on us.'" Verse 14 says, "When he saw them, he said, 'Go show yourselves to the priests.' And as they went, they were cleansed." Verse 15, which is actually one of my favorite verses, is, "One of them, when he saw he was healed, came back praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan." Verse 17 says, Jesus asked, "Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Verse 18 says, "Has no one returned to give praise to God except this foreigner?" 19, "Then he said to him, 'Rise and go. Your faith has made you well.'" I want to be like that one leper that came back and gave thanks. He was loud. That's the way the scripture calls it. He was loud. He was quite excited. So today, I want to share with you a testimony. And just to tell you that it is so important for us to give thanks, to come back to God when something great has happened to us. My testimony has got to do with my mom's sickness. In 2021, my mom fell sick. It was a very, very tough situation for us as a family. We were very concerned because the sickness did affect my mom's health in such a bad way that she could not be able to do even the very basic of things. Movements, mobility was such a challenge. And so in consultation with my siblings and a few of our friends, we were referred to a cardiologist whom we needed to go and see to give us some support. So the situation was, allow me just to paint a bit of the picture of how the situation was. Because of her sickness, the sickness basically was pulmonary hypertension. Breathing was a challenge, and that means even movements became really tough. The coordination of her body was a problem. Her feet were swollen. She was in so much pain. Eating, just even eating, her appetite dropped. She could not be able to eat well. And of course, as a family, we were so concerned because everybody wants to see a loved one, for example, here in my mom, well and able to carry on her activities. Because of this, we said, okay, fine, let's see this doctor whom we've been referred to get some support. So my first contact with a cardiologist, this guy told me point blank that I'm looking at your mom and looks like this situation is very bad, but let's carry out a test. So the test revealed a very dire situation, very bad situation. And actually the doctor told me, come on, there's very little hope. But anyway, we will try and do the much we can to just support her. So from around July 2021, my mom was started on a regime on some drugs that she needed to take on a daily basis. Imagine every single day you're taking drugs, morning, evening. And of course, as time went by, the situation, there are seasons where we could see her improve, other seasons not so much. So it was a roller coaster. But of course, we kept on doing what we needed to do, taking her for the monthly visits, ensuring that she got the drugs, and just supporting her. You know, I remember there are times when I could take her to the hospital and even go out of my way to go help her do her hair, because I felt like even just the psychosocial support was very important. So it's been a journey. Come 2022, it's the same story. Roller coaster. One season, she's okay. Another season, things are not really good. 2023, the same story. But we kept on doing it, what we needed to do. Listening to what the doctor is saying. In fact, at some point, even some of the guys were telling us, why don't you seek second opinion? But we kept on just doing it. Of course, also praying and asking God to help us through this journey. And I can tell you God was very faithful, because even when you talk about medical attention, we know in our country, it's very expensive. And in this is a case where you have to see a private doctor. It wasn't it wasn't a cheap experience. We kept on doing this, but we were very consistent. So come 2024, we noticed that there was some slight improvements in the sense that she could be able to, her mobility was a lot better, her demeanor changed, just everything around her began to improve. And so I went back to the doctor in one of the visits that we made early this year, this 2024, and asked the doctor, can we do another test just to see how the situation is, how the heart is, how the lungs are responding? And he gladly accepted for us to carry out the test. Guess what? The results were so impressive. It was so consistent with what I could see in her life. And I can tell you guys, God is a healer. And I'm here to share this testimony that God healed my mom. I'm like that leper. I've come back to tell God, thank you for healing my mom. Because if I reflect on what the situation was in 2021 July, where all of us were very despondent and felt like we were just, we were just doing the much we can, but for sure, this situation doesn't look like anything good can turn out of it. But I want to tell you that God turned around my mom's life. Her health. Right now, she's able to move around. Even her feet doesn't swell anymore. She's able to carry out activities at home a lot more comfortable. Because in the previous season, even the basic things, as I said, just moving even to the washroom, nearly she was getting bedridden. But things have changed. It's a different story for us now. And I'm coming back here to tell you that take a stock of what the things that are happening in your life. Take time to come back to God and just say thank you. Because there are many things that we might be presumptuous about. We might take them for granted. But God is doing many things. For me, this is one of the key testimonies that God has done in my life in this season. He's healed my mom, and her life has changed. In fact, we keep talking about it with her, and even as she says, for sure, my son, God has healed us. I want to tell you, I want to challenge you, take time to give thanks to God. Be like that one leper. Don't be like the 9 who took things for granted and never came back to say thank you. Today, I'm like that one leper, and I'm coming back to say thank you through this testimony, just to encourage you. You could be going through a very tough time, but remember, trust into God. He is able to turn your life around. And remember to come back and say thank you. I hope my message has encouraged you, and please, God bless you, and stay well.